So here's a neat little trick that I like to do when I'm scaling an item to fit into a design, and I call this progressive scaling, or even nudge scaling if you like. So what we're going to do is we want to scale this down, but basically bit by bit, so we can fine tune it. And sometimes it's just easier to have the computer do the scaling incrementally rather than you doing free transform and deselecting, that kind of thing. Again, personal preference, but this is quite a cool way of using the scale tool. So with the scale tool still highlighted, I'm going to come over here onto the right hand anchor point because we've already got this aligned to this margin, which is where it wants to stay. And I'm going to hold down our Option key, Alt key on the PC, click to bring up the dialog box, and I'm going to put in 90%. Now I do want it smaller than 90%, but if we do 90%, say OK, what we can do is go up to the object menu, and remember under transform we have transform again, the same function that we applied to our guides earlier on. Well, when you've done a scale function like this, or even move or rotate, it's all the same. Applying Command D or Control D on the PC to duplicate that will retransform it. So if we now use our duplicate or transform again command, you'll see it's scaling down by 10% each time. Now, that's incremental. Let's say we want to reduce the amount to, say, 99%. No problem. Just go back in to the same anchor point, Option click to bring up the dialog box, change your setting, say OK, and once again, Command D or Control D to just keep nudging that down until you get to the size that you want. And it's just very, very cool that you can scale this little bit by little bit until it feels right. Okay, you're not having to guess or numerical or anything else. You simply just keep going until it feels right. So now we need this logo on the other two pieces. I'm going to fit everything in here, and naturally they'll all need to be different sizes. So we're going to go back to the main selection tool, hitting V, and we're going to hold down the Option key, Alt on the PC, and drag. Remember we did this before to copy our stripes. We can drag a copy of the logo over onto this document. Likewise, we can also Option drag another one down here. Okay, so let's come back up to our A3, and we'll just maybe get our free transform tool. So we hit E on the keyboard, and we'll scale this up fairly large. I mean, we can adjust these later on, but this is actually going to sit in this part of the design. This is why we've got an empty space here. This is where our main logo is going to sit. And I'm going to position it so it's roughly right on this frame here. We can use a line and that sort of thing later on, but for the moment it's mostly a rough positioning. Now likewise, our Italia logo down here also needs to be a little bit smaller. So I'm going to go back to the selection tool, zoom in down here, let's see the whole thing a little bit more closely, and again just go ahead and select it. What we could do is maybe align it so it sort of snaps in on the right hand side here, but then use our nudge key, just our arrow key, to push it slightly to the left. And totally up to you how you specify this, but we do also wish to scale it down, and I wish to do it incrementally. So I'm going to hit S for the scale tool, position on the right hand anchor point there, hold down that Option key, click to bring up the dialog, and maybe we'll do 95% this time. Once again, Command D or Control D to then transform again and again until you get the logo down to roughly the right size that you're looking for. Okay, so if we fit everything in the window now, you can see that we've got the logo perfectly sized and perfectly positioned, well, mostly perfectly positioned on all three of our documents. Just going to go to the main selection tool and deselect when we're done.